After his victory at Montreal, the job of keeping order in the colonies is given to General Amherst, along with a knighthood. But Britain has not given Sir Geoffrey what he needs to do the job, leaving him to struggle with tight budgets and dwindling manpower. Britain has shifted its manpower away from America. It is now fighting for control of French islands in the West Indies, part of the global conflict known as the 7 Years' War. Britain succeeds in taking French territory in Africa and French trading posts in India. When Spain sides with France, the war spreads to Spanish possessions in the Philippines and elsewhere. Amherst's job isn't made any easier by his view of the Indians. Though Indians were crucial to him in delivering the French surrender, Amherst has little regard for what he calls the savage enemy. Amherst orders a series of reforms. He restricts Indian access to ammunition, and to save the empire money, he curtails gift-giving, a time-honored custom. His aim is to transform the Crown's relationship with Indians from that of powerful allies into master and subjects. But the Indians do not see themselves as subjects, and they are wary of further encroachments on their land. They see the British building a tremendous stronghold called Fort Pitt on the forks of the Ohio, despite the Treaty of Easton, which promised no British settlement west of the Allegheny Mountains. There's growing talk of war. William Johnson, the Crown's superintendent of Indian affairs, is one man who appreciates that a war with Indians is something Britain can ill afford.
Your Excellency, I am pretty well informed by other hands that the Six Nations, Shawnees, and Delaware's Indians are ill-disposed.
Mere bugbears. I am persuaded this alarm will end in nothing more than a rash attempt of what they've been threatening for some time.
They say we mean to make slaves of them by taking so many posts in the country.
I am fully convinced that the only true method of treating those savages is to keep them in proper subjection and punish, without exception, the transgressors. Good day, sir.
Your Lordship.
Bonjour, Louis Nishna, Paddock. Brethren, the English have treated us with much disrespect.
In 1763, an Ottawa war chief named Pontiac uses powerful religious ideas to stir his fellow Indians to action.
The Master of Life took Nowland by the hand and gave him a fancy hat.
Pontiac tells them of the visions of a Delaware Indian prophet named Nowland and his encounter with their creator, the Master of Life.
The Master of Life spoke to him. This land that I created was for you and no one else. As for those who came to trouble your lands, Nowland said, drive them out. Make war upon them.
War belts spread Pontiac's message. Indians who once played the two European empires against each other now band together against the British. This would be a new war. On the morning of June 2nd, 1763, warriors from the Ojibwe and Sauk nations are engaged in a heated game of bagataway, or as the French call it, lacrosse. The game is entering its third day outside Fort Michilimackinac on the northernmost reaches of modern-day Michigan. We know of the game that day from the writings of one of the first English traders to venture into the territories, Alexander Henry.
I did not go to see the match, which was to be played outside the fort, but rather employed myself in writing letters.
The British had no idea why this game of lacrosse was really being played here. They didn't realize that Amherst's reforms had insulted and enraged the native people. And they had not yet heard a very important piece of news. Only the Indians knew that a month earlier, Pontiac had inspired an Indian attack on Fort Detroit.
Make war upon them.
It was a sign of things to come. And now it comes to Michilimackinac.
Going instantly to my window, I saw a group of Indians within the fort. They were furiously cutting down and scalping every Englishman they found. The dying were writhing and shrieking under the knife and tomahawk. I was shaken, not only with horror but with fear. I found many of the French-Canadian inhabitants calmly looking on.
The attack at Michilimackinac would be repeated as one British outpost after another falls to the Indians, and this new war spreads across the land. Under Amherst's command, the British managed to lose all but 3 of their major forts in the backcountry to Indians inspired by Pontiac. Hundreds of soldiers and thousands of civilians are killed or taken captive. Pontiac's war rages on, and Britain loses control of the frontier. As with Mary Jemison's family in the French and Indian War, Indians are again taking settlers captive. After Mary was taken in Pennsylvania, her family was killed.
I can remember my mother's words. My dear little Mary, your life, my child, I think will be spared, but we shall be tomahawked in this lonesome place. Be careful, and do not forget your English tongue.
Mary was taken to a Seneca village and adopted into the tribe. With the frontier in turmoil again, producing more stories like Mary's, pressure mounts on Jeffrey Amherst to do something. Amherst is short of money, he's short of men, and he's not getting much help from the colonial legislatures. Now Sir Geoffrey raises the possibility of a weapon he would never consider using against a European foe.
Could it not be contrived to send the smallpox among those disaffected tribes of Indians? We must on this occasion use every stratagem in our power to reduce them. We would do well to try to infect the Indians by means of blankets, as well as to try every other method that can serve to extirpate this execrable race.
In fact, smallpox has already ravaged the Indians. Amherst's orders make little difference. Sir Geoffrey is unable to keep order. He is relieved of his command. On November 17th, 1763, Amherst heads home to England aboard a ship named the Weasel. Although Indian raids have subsided, the Pennsylvania frontier remains tense. In early December, Matthew Smith and friends from Paxton, Pennsylvania, report an exaggerated rumor of hostile Indians nearby. In fact, the Indians of Conestoga are peaceful farmers.
We cautiously crawled to get a view. I saw Indians armed. They were strangers. They outnumbered us by dozens.
On December 14th, 50 armed vigilantes descend on Conestoga. Instead of dozens, only 6 Indians were in the camp. They track down 14 more who have escaped and slaughtered them too, scalping the children for effect. The Paxton boys spread the word that they intend to kill every Indian in Pennsylvania. In an effort to end the bloodshed, the British and the Ohio Indians establish a truce. A treaty is signed and hundreds of captives taken by Indians are returned, some against their will. Many, like Mary Jemison, have adopted an Indian way of life.
I had been with the Indians 4 summers and 4 winters. Shaninji and I were married according to Indian custom. My anxiety to be set at liberty had almost subsided.
To encourage the return of captives, the King of England offers a bounty. In Mary, a neighboring Dutchman sees a chance to make some money.
I ran from him with all the speed I was mistress of and got home. The chiefs gave orders that I should not be taken without my consent, and that as it was my choice to stay, I should live amongst them, quietly and undisturbed.
Mary Jemison lived as a Seneca for the rest of her life.